How do you prepare yourself for a leadership role? Are there things you can do to make it easier for you to assume a leadership role? That's the conversation I'm going to have in today's video. Hello, my name is Oyinkan Akimade. I'm a confidence coach and a workplace strategist. And in today's conversation, we're talking about how to prepare yourself for a leadership role. Everyone expects you to hit the ground running when you assume a leadership role because, after all, you're now a leader. So, for you to do that and for you to start from the very first day on a good note, it's important that you are prepared. And to prepare yourself for this journey, I am sharing three tips with you. The first one is to change the way you think. I'm not being cheesy here by saying change the way you think. I literally mean it because you no longer represent yourself alone. Before you become a leader, before you become a manager, it's just about you doing your job and representing yourself to the team and to the business. But the moment you become a leader, it's not just about you anymore. It's about your team and the organization. And changing that mindset will help you start your leadership role on the right note and know in your head to prepare to make decisions and to look for solutions that are that will benefit not just you but your team and your business. So of course you have to change the way you think because you're no longer an employee anymore. You're now a leader. The second thing you have to change, or should I say the second thing you should improve or you should research or you should know more about, are people skills. And why do I say that? Because the moment you become a leader, you are interacting with two or three groups of people. I say two or three because sometimes it's not always the third one, and hear me out. The first group of people are your direct reports. Are those people that report to you? That's one group of people. The second group of people are your peers and your leadership team. So in some situations, you would have a third group, which would be maybe your customers, your clients, your end users, but that would not always be, an option for some of you. So you operate or you interact with two or three groups of people, and the way you interact with them will be different because even though they both want you being competent and confident and being trustworthy, how that looks to them will be different. So, for example, to your direct reports, they want a boss that is understanding, empathetic, and advocate and would help them and motivate them and get their job done. To your leadership team, they want a leader that can take charge, that can motivate, that can be in control. To your groups or to your end users, if you interact with your end users or your customers, they want a person that they can trust and that understands what they need as well. But how that looks will be different to each group. So the voice you use to interact with them will be different. And you must know when to use what type of voice, because if you use the wrong voice, it will pass the wrong message and it will diminish the trust they have in you. And once that trust starts to diminish, it becomes harder to fulfill your role and to do the things you're supposed to do. Okay, and I want to say this especially because there are two main groups of people when it comes to just working. You have the people-oriented professionals and you have the task-oriented professionals. So for the people-oriented professionals, for example, it is easier for them to lead other people because they have a way of connecting with the people under them. But if they are not intentional about how they interact with their peers and those on the leadership team, they may appear like they are not in control or they're not able to take charge. So that's why it's important that you know the voice when you're moving from one group to another group. For the task-oriented person, yes, to the leaders, they because task-oriented people just want to get things done, and that looks good from the end, from the leadership's point of view. They're in charge, they are producing, their productivity is high. But for a task-oriented professional, if you're not careful, you may come off as being insensitive, uncaring to your direct reports. And eventually, if you're not able to manage, if you're not intentional when you're communicating with those set of people, they start to revolt. Eventually, productivity may, it may backfire and, they may begin to work against you because they just feel you're not a good leader for them. So that's why I mentioned that you need to improve your people skills. Know the category you tend to fall under. If you're a people-oriented person, I tend to do well with your direct reports. You know that you want to make sure that you're intentional when speaking with your leadership team, and the vice versa. If you're a task oriented people, you want to know that you are intentional when you're communicating with your direct reports. The other thing too, especially if you're going to lead a team that has already been established, is that you need to give them time to know you, and you have to give yourself time to know them, because anytime there's a change, everybody's guard is up because they do not know what type of leader they're going to have. So it's important that you work on your communication and your transparency when you're leading an established team, so that you can earn their trust and motivate them to do the work that they're supposed to do. Now, the third thing you have to learn to do is to manage your insecurities, your fears, your doubts, and all of those negative things, because whether you want it or not, they're going to come. So it's important that you have a process to manage those doubts and insecurities. And one tip I always share with my clients, or when I give my workshops or seminars, is to understand the values of your organization, the mission, and the vision, and understand it personally, because you want to be able to be consistent in your decisions, in your interactions, and understanding those values and living those values. Setting your goals for the vision of the organization helps you to be consistent and look fair to everyone, and helps you defend your decisions, not just to your direct reports, but to your leadership team, because you're going by what the organization stands for and wants to achieve. So, those are the 3 tips I want to share with you. I'll recap once again. Change the way you think. You no longer represent yourself only, you represent your team, you represent yourself, and you represent your organization. The second thing is to improve your people skills and know where you fall under, and know what area you need to improve when you're interacting with your direct reports, or if you're interacting with your leadership team, or if you're interacting with your customers or your end users. And the final thing is to know how to manage your insecurities and self-doubt, because you would have them. So I hope with these 3 tips it's been helpful to you. It will be helpful to you. Leave your comments if you have any suggestions or any advice that has helped you. If you've been in a leadership role for a bit and you're listening to this, put it down in the comments so that we can all gain from it as a community. I'll see you in my next video. God bless, and have a great rest of the day, whatever time you're watching this. Bye bye for now.